Welcome to Nomad PHP Lightning Talks. I'm Joe Ferguson. Nomad PHP Lightning Talks are 10-minute talks that give a high-level overview or an in-depth look at a small portion of a PHP-related topic. Lightning Talks are a great way for new speakers to build their speaking resume and for long-time speakers to test drive new talk ideas. If you'd like to give a 10-minute lightning talk, please email me, joe@nomadphp.com. Right now we have Matt Cockayne, and he's going to give a talk about Are You a Good Code Scout? Please make sure you visit Join.net after the talk and leave Matt some feedback. Matt, take it away.
Hi, as Joe said, my name's Matt. I'm here to ask you a simple question. Are you a good scout? Or more specifically, are you a good code scout? I've been a serial tinkerer of code for 20 plus years, and at least 10 of those have seen me be a developer in some form of professional capacity. I'm also a scout leader. To be specific, I'm actually a Cub Scout leader, and I deal with sort of 30 plus 8 to 10-year-olds every week and quite a few weekends of the year. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm comparing developers to a group of 8 to 10-year-olds, but let's say there's some distinct similarities. I'm very lucky to be part of the Scout Association, which is one of the largest scouting bodies in the UK. There are a wide variety of different scouting organisations across the world. And if you happen to be part of one of those scouting movements, then I'm hoping that everything I'm going to talk about today will resonate in some kind of way. It's great fun being a scout. We get up to all sorts of fun and interesting activities, such as go-karting, kayaking, rock climbing, skydiving, archery, scuba, and generally just having fun. One of the most popular and well-known activities is camping. This is scouting at its best, communing with nature, sleeping out under the stars, a roaring campfire with friends, marshmallows, and the odd hot chocolate. It just doesn't get any better. However, as with all good things, the fun has to end at some point. And so, when it's time to pack up and go home, there's a rule. In fact, let's say it's the Boy Scout rule about what to do when packing up the campsite. Always leave the campsite better than you found it. It's a pretty good rule as far as it goes. It guarantees that the campsite stays well maintained and in good condition for all future users. It means we're preserving things so they can be enjoyed and experienced again and again. But if I change one small word, it can be applied in a whole different way. Always leave the code base better than you found it. We've now turned something that we teach the kids aged 7 to 18 to do naturally every day into something that we as developers should be doing every day. So let's take a look at a few things that we're encouraging scouts to do. First of all, putting up a sign. If we were on a campsite, I'd be looking to make the site more usable for the next group. As I'm suggesting here, this can be something as simple as putting up a sign to help guide other users as to where things are on the site. So how does this apply to us? Add a README file. Hopefully, this is pretty self-explanatory. If you're working on a piece of code that doesn't have one, add it. It can sometimes be the single most important piece of instruction to new users of any piece of code. The more clear and accurate the README, the better. Improve the documentation. Every code base needs some documentation. There are so many open source projects out there that suffer in this area. In a number of cases, I've experienced a lot of developers shying away from fantastic tools just because the documentation is hard to follow or not complete. If you can improve even a fraction of a project's documentation every time you work on or with it, you can make a massive difference. Comments. Sometimes you just don't have time to write a full suite of documentation. If you find yourself in that situation, then make sure to at least comment your code adequately so whoever comes along the next time can understand it enough to maybe help out and write the docs for you. We can pick up litter. How obvious is this? We should all be doing this in real life, regardless of whether we're scouts or not. Again, we can easily relate this to something that we should be doing as programmers so easily. I'm hoping that all of this does seem obvious. You come to a piece of code and large blocks have been commented out. You take a look at the version control logs and it looks like it's been that way for years. How is that any different to finding an empty can of Coke on the floor? Just as you'd pick up the can of Coke, you should clean up the code and remove anything that is nothing more than clutter. The same goes for your project's dependencies. Hopefully, You're all using suitable dependency management tools like Composer. But when was the last time you checked to make sure you're only including dependencies that you need? I still come across projects that have piles of dependencies pulling on old pair packages that's quite obviously not being used anymore. Finally, in 2015, we should all be using some form of version control. If you're not, I would be asking why, but that's a different conversation for another day. The main reason for making this point is that with the prolific use of version control, it makes it so easy to clear out all of those old files that you'll find floating around. How often do you find a .back file? How often do you find a file 20 times over with 20 different timestamps? This last example could be likened to using your front lawn as a municipal dumping ground. It's time to clean this up before moving on. You could repair a fence. Sometimes when we take scouts camping, we have them projects to complete before they leave. This can be a wide range of tasks, such as digging a new fire pit, building a shelter, or repairing this fence. By giving them tasks to complete, it ensures that we're providing a service to them, not only to the maintainers of the campsite, but to its users. Granted, these tasks are not difficult or expensive to do, but can be quite time-consuming. If every group of visitors did a little bit each time they visited to make a difference, it all helps. You can probably see where this is going now. If you come across some code that's in desperate need of refactoring, to make it function correctly, then it may be worth investing a little bit of time. If you're coming to a piece of code for the first time, then make sure to run any test suites before you start the work. Why? To find out if it's broken. Odds are that if the code's already broken, anything you change or add could be broken too. And if you do find something that's failing, fix it. Finally, even if you're not adding anything that needs to be tested into the code base, but it's a little bit sparse on the testing side, it can't hurt to spend a few minutes to add one test and help improve some coverage. Next, we shut the gate behind us when we leave. Quite obvious, really. When you leave the campsite, you make sure that the gate is shut to keep the ground safe and prevent it becoming infested with rabid goats. The question is, do you close the gate when you've finished a piece of work? When you close a gate, there are a number of things that you'll most likely do quite subconsciously. You'll check the hinges are working, that the gate swings freely, that the latch works properly. We should all have the same subconscious routine with our code. Check your tests are passing, make sure you haven't broken anything, then write out a sensible commit message explaining what you've done to ensure that that gate stays firmly closed. If you're able to do all of them, then congratulations, you're on your way to being a good code scout. But it doesn't stop there. If you're truly wanting to be a good code scout, then you'll continue to learn. As a young person, you assimilate massive amounts of information every day that helps you to grow and develop. This is creatively harnessed by scouts through a variety of different activities that are designed to help them learn new skills that they can help to grow as people. When we get older, our brains don't have the same capacity to soak up that volume of information. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be trying. A good code scout will continue to strive to push the boundaries of what they know, to pick up new skills that can be used to make them more capable. This can be learning a new technique or a new language or a tool, be it via formal training, conferences, social events, or even just a good Google. So I'd always encourage you to keep learning. You've already proved your willingness to learn, or how to be a good code scout, by being part of Nomad PHP. With all that newfound knowledge, you'll find that if you can attack a task with the right attitude, skills, and tools for the job, you can create some truly amazing things. In every activity that a scout takes part in, they're always taught the correct way to work with their tools and equipment. They're then encouraged to explore different ways of using those to achieve their goals. This is no different for a code scout. By knowing how to use their languages and their tools properly, they can use it to maximum effect. But as well as helping yourself, there are others to consider. Just like this young lad here, it can be the simplest of acts that mean the most to people. Scouts are encouraged to keep giving back to individuals, groups, and even whole communities by asking them to be more considerate of the needs of others and help to develop a strong sense of self and charity. A fantastic example of this is the 2015-2016 initiative called A Million Hands, which is committed to getting as many young people, 500,000 if possible, involved in removing social barriers, connecting communities and improving lives. While I'm not asking you to sign up for 1,000,000 hands, and it would be super awesome if you did, what I'm asking is that if you can go out after this talk and consider how you can help other programmers that are less fortunate than you, help a colleague at work, organize a local user group event, or even if there isn't a group nearby, create one. Contribute to an open source project. Any little thing you can do could mean an awful lot to someone else, and the payback will quite simply be a massive amount of good karma that I guarantee you will get back when you yourself are in need. The Scout motto is a very simple 2 words: be prepared. But be prepared to do what? It's quite open-ended, really. It could mean anything at all. I like to think that it's nearly impossible to be equipped with every possible skill and tool possible to meet every task you'll encounter throughout life. But being a scout does try to help arm you with as many as possible. Yet as a good code scout, we should always be prepared to solve problems. If we're doing our job properly, we should be looking to solve problems through the solutions we provide every day. Quite often I talk to developers and hear them pigeonholing themselves by making statements such as, I'm a WordPress or a Drupal or a Magento developer. Every time I hear this, I cringe, as you're so much more capable than sticking to just one tool. If this is you, then I want you to do me a big favor. Next time you're asked, say, I'm a problem solver, and be proud of it. A good code scout will strive to devise multiple ways of solving any problem. This may be a broad variety of different platforms, not just the ones you're most comfortable with, and forcing yourself to learn others will improve the skills that you'll need for the rest of your career. You already should have a few different languages in your toolbox just by knowing PHP, HTML, JavaScript, but you can extend that to so many other tools. But no man is an island, and as the saying goes, the same is for being a scout. So make sure you can find yourself a great group of individuals, and working with them as a team, you'll find that you're capable of building some really impressive things. And feel proud of your accomplishments. You may even hopefully find that along the way, you'll have had some fun with your teammates. Finally, we come to one of the most important aspects of being a good code scout. Scouts are quite often viewed as fitting a certain stereotype, which are quite often positive. However, our industry suffers from some imagined stereotypes that don't really do us justice. In the Scouts, we combat this by teaching the children and adults alike to act as good role models in everything they do. Not just to be an example to other Scouts, but for all people of any age, gender, race, or religion. Historically, developers can tend to be viewed as know-it-all trolls that live in a cave and don't emerge into the light other than to ask, what time's the pizza delivery guy getting here? So what I'm asking is that if every code scout acts as a role model in everything that they do, we can dissolve these types of negative stereotype. Just like the Scouts, being a good code scout is more than dib, dib, dib. It's hard work, determination, ingenuity, tenacity, and most of all, having fun. If you're capable of all these things, then you're on your way to being a good code scout. Thank you for your time. If you're interested in learning more about being a good code scout, then feel free to get in touch. You might even find that you can earn one of the many badges that are on offer. I've also got this talk on Joined In, and I would really appreciate any feedback. Second time I've ever given it. So I'd be interested to learn how I can improve and turn it into something a bit more interesting. If you'd also like to have some fun being a scout, then please have a look at your local Scouting Association's website. The UK one's on the screen at the moment, but there's plenty of others out there. I promise you, you won't regret it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us for another Nomad PHP Lightning Talk. If you'd like to give a Lightning Talk, please email me, joe@nomadphp.com. Please make sure you visit Joined In and leave Matt some feedback.